So after a year and a half of eclipses being in Aries and Libra, we're finally moving into a new eclipse season for 2025 into the middle of 2026. This cycle has us focusing on something meaningful and spiritual in our lives and letting go of obsessive details or overwhelming self-criticism. So if you're excited to dive into what exactly we can expect from this eclipse cycle in Pisces and Virgo, make sure that you like, you subscribe, and you hit that notification bell so that you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. Firstly, I'm going to get into explaining what exactly is happening with the nodes of the moon switching signs and what it means in general. Then I'll predict how that's going to play out in the world and show examples from the past times this cycle has happened. And then I'll get into what it means for you based on your sign. If you're new here, hi, I'm Maren. I'm an astrologer and I have private readings available at my website and also more courses and more content on passes if you would like to see that, also linked below. So on January 12th, which was just a few days ago, I'm sorry I'm late on this video. I didn't post it before because of the fires and it's really fucked shit up. I'm not even being dramatic. Like, I'm okay. Thankfully, I'm totally fine. I mean, I'm okay, but just having to leave and not being able to, it was a lot. But on January 12th, 2025, the North Node entered Pisces and the South Node entered Virgo, and they will be there until July 26th, 2026. So I have a video that I made a long time ago about what the nodes of the moon mean with mythology and with their specific astronomical kind of placement and movement. I made this so long ago. It's young Maren there, not that I'm that old, but I'm getting up there. It's still a good video. All the videos from that time are really sweet, and I can't bear to watch them because I get too nostalgic of that New York apartment. But you can watch that video if you do want a more in-depth rundown about what these things in astrology mean. But long story short, the nodes of the moon represent the north and the south point of where the sun reaches in its orbit, or known as the ecliptic. The ecliptic is relative to the sun, and so you'll notice that in an astrology chart, the nodes move backwards by degree. This is because of basically, like, if all the planets are moving this way, the sun calculation is going to be a different way, but do not think that that means that these are inherently, like, bad or something just because you see that they're retrograde technically on a chart. The North Node, which is known as Rahu, or the head of the dragon, represents growth, obsession, drive, progress, and new starts. It usually adds volume or attention or emphasis on something, and if it's placed with positive planets, it can show a lot of forward motion and drive and accomplishment, but if it's placed alongside negative or even neutral planets, it can show relentlessness, being kind of ruthless, or an overwhelming kind of overtaking desire for something. So the North Node is not inherently good. It's also not inherently related to what you need to become, what you need to focus on, what you should. Absolutely not. I, in that video, get into kind of that BS, in my opinion, and really, like, not good astrology. The North Node is not who you need to become, blah, 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 blah. No. It is what has the momentum. You don't need to fucking focus on it. You're probably already focusing fuck ton on it. So the North Node is inherently where the momentum is at any given moment and where your attention probably is. On the other hand, the South Node, known as K2, or the tail of the dragon, the body of the dragon, that is known for releasing, for letting go, for emptying out, or for parting ways with something. It can be associated with the past. I don't necessarily want to say past lives because I don't have any evidence of that, and I prefer not to talk about things that I have not verified with my own astrological kind of experience. I don't know about past lives. I have theories, but I don't get into that. I think that's also, like, would be clumsy on my part to say anything, but the past of your life or things that you already carry very heavy and are ready to part with. The South Node is not inherently bad. It's not inherently anything that we need to let go of. It's just something that we tend to be apathetic towards and tend to be kind of off-put by and wanting to rid ourselves of it. The metaphor that I use is a Harry Potter Dementor, where, like, they kind of suck the life out of things, and that's kind of the South Node analogy I use, but maybe it's a little less negative, where it's just kind of something where you're like, I want to get rid of that. I've had enough. I need to empty this part of my life. I want to release that cord there. So wherever the North Node is, volume up. Wherever the South Node is, volume down. Like, you want to hear more versus you want to hear less. But that does not mean that you are upset at or mad at the South Node. It just is like, you want a clean slate and you want a building, you want a bigger, fuller plate of the North Node. But that doesn't mean that you should want that. It just means that you probably do because it's, like, insatiable. It's also important to note that the North and the South Node are not planets, therefore they cannot make aspects to other planets. So this isn't something where you should be thinking, oh, the North Node is trine or square or whatever, anything. Something can conjoin the nodes because a conjunction is technically not an aspect, so something can be emphasized or decreased by the North or the South Node if it crosses it, crossing a node does add that focus. However, don't think that they're making aspects to other planets. Also, with the nodes in a particular sign, it will show collective events and world events that are happening. So the North Node in Pisces is showing a growth of Pisces themes and an overwhelming acknowledgement of Pisces themes. Pisces is water, so it's emotional, artistic, intuitive. It's also mutable, so it's the transition between seasons from winter to spring. That's Pisces. It's like water melting. It goes everywhere. It's nebulous. It is ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet of growth, optimism, happiness, and knowledge. Jupiter in Pisces is about intuitive, experiential, emotional knowledge, EQ, and like understanding for others and understanding for empathetic situations. So North Node in Pisces is all about the growth of interconnection emotionally, the growth of belief, faith, and transcendence in things that are beyond us. Also can show the growth of things that are militant or religiously kind of vehement. When I get into kind of the world events associated with this, it can show that there's like just more absurdity. I'm sorry if I sound a little biased. I'm just skeptical of overall belief systems. Don't call astrology a religion. It's pattern recognition that I think has enough behind it to prove a relevant correlation. Not a religion. There's no fucking God, belief in any higher whatever here, so miss me with that. But there does seem to be a growth of religious fervor, let's say, during the North Node in Pisces, but there also seems to be, sorry, my bed is not made, I'm flipping shit everywhere. There also tends to be a growth of connection in technology in creative means. So fun means, like the Wii was invented last time the North Node was in Pisces. The most expensive painting sold last time the North Node was in Pisces, or something like that. I'll go through the events and explain it to you. But the growth of things that are spiritual, creative, transcendental, euphoric in nature, more of an emphasis on wanting to have fun and be kind of inner childlike in general. Now, this cycle is going to be a little bit different also because Neptune is there. I do not believe that Neptune rules Pisces because I go by traditional rulerships. I don't think it works out if you use Neptune as the ruler, but Neptune does have a bit of that dreaminess and euphoria that Pisces can have, which can add to some of the intensity of Pisces already. Neptune is the planet of dreams, delusion, idealism, romance, glamour, any kind of facade, whether that is negative or positive. So Neptune can be very deceitful. It can also be very beautiful. So it depends on how it's placed. With the North Node crossing Neptune early in 2025, major caution for wearing rose-colored glasses, believing in a dream that is harmful, or for literally just being delusional to an obsessive degree. The North Node will be crossing Saturn later in 2025 because Saturn is also in Pisces. Saturn is the other end of the spectrum. It is serious, it's mature, it's responsible, it is sober, it is like cold, hard boundaries and truth. Saturn is not necessarily bad, but depending on your chart, this could be more challenging, specifically if you have a night chart or you were born after sunset. You would know that if your sun is below the ascendant-descendant axis, the bottom half of the chart. With Saturn and Neptune there, I'm a little less concerned about the Neptune delusion taking over. I think that Saturn's going to show we're pretty grounded, but there's a faith that is also inspiring us. However, in your chart, it could show that you're being an absolute lunatic and that you need to be slapped in the face. That could be the combination. So with all that being said, that's the emphasis point. The other emphasis point that is more of a inverted emphasis, actually I don't like to, there's a growth point of emphasis and a decrease point of emphasis. So the decrease point of emphasis is in Virgo. What is Virgo? Coming from a Virgo. Virgo is an earth sign. Earth signs are practical, realistic, and grounded. It's also a mutable sign, which is the transition between summer and fall. So it's adaptable and it's about the transition between abundance and needing to narrow things down. It is about deciding what is critical, what's valuable, and what isn't, and about solving problems, and it's ruled by Mercury. Mercury is a planet of communication, intellect, and logic. So Virgos are very grounded and realistic, but they are very, very logical and very, very good at solving problems on the fly and being particularly good at, in the moment, resolving things. So that's something, Virgos are earth signs, but they're not slow. They're very nimble with the way they solve problems. So the downside of Virgo can be that there's a criticism, specifically a self-criticism and an obsession with details that is very, very overwhelming. And you can lose, what's the saying? Lose the forest for the trees. I know myself, I can get caught up in the smallest things that are issues and I can lose sight of a big opportunity. Or I can be so skeptical of something that it ruins the entire kind kind of thing that is happening. Like I can just get fixated on things and then not realize the entirety of the message. Or like recently, I'm not a paranoid person, but I like really thought that this orange Lambo was following me. Like this orange Lambo was showing up everywhere. And I was like noting where it showed up. And then I like wrote everything down of where I saw it. And I was like, oh, this person works out at the same place and goes to Phil's right after and happens to live near me and like commute similar times. I don't think that they would be a PI, however, tracking me in an orange Lambo, for example. So had I just been like, yo, the gym is a common place instead of like, ooh, computerized, where, you know what I mean? So the South Node shows feeling like we're ready to let go of, depart from, or clear out that part of our tendencies in our chart. So this is going to apply most to whatever the Virgo house is in your chart, and I will get into that for you. But in general, there's going to be a refusal of perfection, not wanting things to be neat and clean, wanting a bit of mess, wanting a bit of vulnerability or realism. I know that this is hard, that people on social media nowadays don't want perfect, and they do not want they want like messy and relatable. No, everything's gonna be perfect. Just got my roots done. My fucking scalp is red. Like, and this is none of this is not intended to be relatable. I'm very, I'm just frustrated with relatability. You can be relatable in real life. Like, this is online. This is all, I don't particularly like this as the Virgo. I don't like being ideologically oppressed with the anti-Virgo-ness of this energy. Long story short, Virgo tendencies are going to be kind of time to be let go of them. So any hypercriticism or any really dedicated, it's going to be like, relax, focus on the big picture, focus on the feeling, enough with the hyperfixation. An autistic Virgo, we're not going to do that. We're going to be, no, we're going to have the special interest and be doing all day the same thing. In fact, after this, I only have 9,000 steps today, so I really need to hit 10,000. So I'm going to go do that after this because I need to hit that number. It's very satisfying. Okay, enough. So with that combination, Pisces house in your chart, you're going to be seriously empowered and in belief of a spiritual goal that you really feel and are excited about, without needing to be forced to do it. You're like, I'm serious about the work that I'm spiritually empowered by. This really screams philanthropy or charity in a lot of ways, even though that's not going to show up in everyone's chart. South Node in Virgo shows that in the Virgo house in your chart, you're going to be more like, okay, I'm done beating myself over the head about this. I'm done being so hard on myself. I am going to live a little, have a little more forgiveness, and open up my boundaries and not be so rigid, and not necessarily have that be better, but you're going to try it out. So if you already have any thoughts about how this is showing up or how you think this will play out in your chart, leave me a comment below. And now let's get into what this means in history for the past times. If you don't want to know about what happened last time and my predictions for the world, you can skip to this timestamp. My awesome editor Gabs will let you know when I will talk about the signs. But if you want to know about what I expect in the world and why, keep watching here. So in history, the main things that happened in the previous cycles of this were the spread of games or technology that connects us creatively as people, not necessarily cutting edge for like offices and science, more of getting people to have more fun or social connection. I also noticed that both cycles previously there was activated Israel-Hamas activity. So not getting into any political ish with like, no, I'm not, I'm just bringing it up. I'm the messenger. I don't share my points of view on anything like that here. I've already probably said too much. Artistic achievements. So like wild achievements in art. Missing persons. There were so many. I didn't note that, but just know, because there were just too many for me to list when I go down this list. So many missing persons. That makes sense with North Node of Pisces. And religious extremism. Also way too many niche examples for me to know all of them, but there was a lot of religious extremism. So the last time that this cycle occurred, North Node Pisces, South Node Virgo, was June 2006 to December 2007. So June 28th, 2006, Israel launched their offensive in the Gaza Strip in response to Hamas. So that was the first kind of instance of that period really showed that. July 12th, Israel invaded Lebanon as well. So there's a lot of activity there. And I don't know if this really applied to this cycle or not, but it was cool. On August 24th, which is my birthday, in 2006, the International Astronomical Union defined planet, and therefore that meant that Pluto was not considered a planet. So Pluto was demoted during this cycle. Also on October 9th, North Korea claimed to ever have conducted its first nuclear test, which is kind of like a large-scale threat, and Google purchased YouTube for $1.65 billion. So that was kind of cool that it is this last cycle that Google purchased YouTube, and that's kind of in the fun, creative thing of this. This is not like a social media, it's not like Slack. You know what I mean? That goes in line with that. November 2nd, 2006, November 5th, 1948 by Jackson Pollock became the most expensive painting after it sold privately for $140 million. So that was a significant artistic achievement. November 5th, the former president of Iraq, Saddam Hussein, was sentenced to death by hanging and was executed by crimes against humanity on December 30th. So like religious/terrorism oriented significance. November 11th, Sony releases the PlayStation 3. November 19th, Nintendo releases the Wii, my personal favorite. No, maybe the GameCube. Maybe the GameCube's my favorite. Anyway, video games. Why am I talking about technology that is fun? Just fucking video games. I don't play video games, so I didn't have the word for me, unfortunately. January 9th, 2007, Apple CEO Steve Jobs introduces the original iPhone. See? Connectivity, but in a social, fun way. January 30th, Windows Vista is released to consumers by Microsoft. Incredible accomplishment. My middle school childhood was all on Windows Vista. Shout out. February 19th, very important, very important. February 19th, Tumblr launched to the public. See what I mean? This is not a coincidence that so much happened during the last time North Node's in Pisces, South Node in Virgo. April 1st, Diary of a Wimpy Kid was published. Incredible, incredible. May 3rd, Madeleine McCann disappeared, who was a British 3-year-old in Portugal. The most heavily reported missing persons case in modern history, which is what it was claimed to be. So just an example of the amount of missing children and persons during this time that were in the public, but I didn't note all of them, just her as an example. The last time before that this cycle happened was December 1987 to May 1989. So March 24th, 1988, the first McDonald's was opened in a communist country. It opened in Yugoslavia, and then in Hungary, and then in China. So essentially like interconnectivity in a fun, lighthearted way. McDonald's, even though it's very sad and a lot of animal cruelty, so don't support. June 23rd, 1988, NASA scientist James Hansen testified that global warming had begun. So that was a major event because it was one of the first times that belief and that evidence came to light, and that makes sense during this cycle. August 11th, a meeting of jihadi leaders, including Osama bin Laden, took place leading to the founding of Al-Qaeda. So that's an example of that, kind of those things moving. In November, the first transatlantic telephone cable to connect American and European internet was completed. So interconnection socially. November 2nd, this one's a little weird. Something called the Morris worm, the first computer worm, I had to look that up, what that meant, was distributed by the internet. So first, like repeating code, apparently that means. And December 1st, National World AIDS Day is held. So the spread of diseases that are like autoimmune related, or just like all like viruses that are permanent and spreading in that way, that is very Piscean, like biological either warfare or just spread of disease in that way. Not cold and flu disease, but like interpersonal related diseases, very common from this cycle when I was looking through even past cycles. And that year was the first year that the official internet connection between North America and Europe was made. So long story short, even though I left some things out that were repeated and kind of like monotonous, fun and games in technology to connect people, artistic accomplishments, religious, terrorism, fervor, growth of that kind of thing, missing persons, am I missing anything? And Tumblr was founded. That's important. Maybe we get a resurgence of the Tumblr time since TikTok is, I hope, not banned. I'm recording this on January 18th. It's supposed to be banned tomorrow. There's a lot of conflicting reports. I hope the new prez brings it back. So now let's get into what it means for each of the rising signs, and this will be more in detail than my other rundowns of the rising signs because this is taking up 2 houses, and if you don't know what your rising sign is, you should be watching based on that, so you can check out my videos about reading horoscopes for your rising sign. I will link them below as well. So for Aries rising, the Pisces North Node is in your 12th house, which shows the growth of focus on your mental health, on being alone, on resolving things like addictions or mental health issues, depression, anything spiritually troubling. And the South Node is in Virgo, showing that you are letting go of physical related issues. Could be that you are losing weight. Could be also that you are letting go of like a focus on working out or a treatment for something physically. You're like, I'm done with that. I'm okay. I'm good. Could also show that you are either laying off or not working as much with other people. If you were a Taurus rising, the North Node is in your Pisces 11th house. The 11th house is networking, groups, and friends. You were probably focusing a lot on social groups, on joining groups, on networking, on being out there and being seen. And the South Node is in your Virgo 5th house, which shows a letting go or less focus on creativity, on having fun, on romance. It could be that those things need to prove themselves as worth your time. They're not necessarily your focus right now, and you are letting go of things that you might have had build there. If you're a Gemini rising, the North Node is in your Pisces 10th house of career. You are grinding and growing in your career. You are excelling. You are really believing in that path and focusing on it. And the South Node is in your Virgo 4th house, which is home, family, property. You are letting go of, maybe selling, maybe just not at home as often, but you could be selling or letting go of a home or apartment or living situation. You could also simply be traveling a lot. I know that when the South Node crossed my IC, I was just like out of the house a lot, and I was focusing on like being out and about, and I just wasn't home as often, so I didn't feel grounded. If you are a Cancer rising, the North Node is in your Pisces 9th house of higher education or foreign travel. You are very likely either studying something at a high level that ends up being a huge rewarding focus for you. You could also be traveling out of the country or long distance in a way that is a big deal and a huge focus. And the South Node is in your 3rd house, which is routine, writing, productivity, and day-to-day tasks. So you're probably delegating, letting go of, or not really as focused on things that are small. You're like, I'm not doing these small, boring tasks. I'm focused on the big learning. If you are a Leo rising, the North Node is in your Pisces 8th house of investments and shared finances. This probably shows that you are making more money through investments. You are growing in how much you're investing. Your assets are going up. You could be increasing the amount that you are sharing of assets with others. If you are not investing at all, this would generally show that you are depending more on others with various resources, or having situations where you are sharing of trust and sharing of assets with them somehow in your life. The South Node is in your 2nd house of Virgo, which is about income and spending money. You are probably making less direct income and spending more money, but with the North Node in the 8th house, you're probably growing in assets. If you do not have any investments or any like inheritance or partner income, this can show that you are overspending and making less money as well. However, for a lot of you, it will just show that there's another party kind of, or another asset in your life that's making money. If you are a Virgo rising, the North Node is in your Pisces 7th house of close relationships. A lot of you will have a serious, committed romantic relationship be at the forefront and be extremely focused and a big driver of your life. This is likely going to be romantic for a lot of you, like marriage or a boyfriend or girlfriend. For some of you, it could be a best friend or person in your life who drives your life forward. It could also be that they are like a lawyer or someone in a legal case where your focus is on another party. It's probably positive. However, the 7th house can be hidden enemies and can be someone who is your opponent, but is kind of like a cat and mouse game chase. The South Node is in your 1st house of self. It can show letting go of things with appearance, body, personality, and ego. This is great if you're looking to lose weight, cut your hair, stop wearing makeup, like literally take out something from your appearance kind of thing. It can also be good if you are feeling like your current aesthetic or current appearance is something that you want to like change style. It's a releasing of the ego in a superficial way. This is generally not going to show anything like an alteration or work on yourself unless you're like getting like lipo or something like that, but it can show that you kind of just let go of the facade. I know that when this happened to me, it was alongside of other really annoying stuff, but during that time, I, for one, was ultimate goth. I still am very goth, but I'm a little bit like whimsy goth. I think that maybe they're gonna come for me. I'm using the wrong terms. I also, during that time, was like, I can't even explain how much I was eating, and I was unable to like put weight on. It was like insane. I was alongside other things. I don't even know what was going on, but like I could not. I was like fucking so much nut butter. I basically developed like an intolerance to that during that time. I couldn't, and I was so many other things during that time, and then it passed, and then whatever, it was okay. So that can happen with the South Node in your 1st house. If you are a Libra rising, the North Node is in your 6th house, which is physical health issues or maintenance and coworkers. So this can show that you are putting a lot of work into working out, getting really fit. It can also show you are getting on top of physical health issues and injuries. This could show that you are also very focused on hiring people, managing people who work for you, you or building a team around you. With the South Node in your 12th house of mental health and afflictions, you were attempting to let go on, not lean into things that feel like dark mental states. You were really trying to let go of and not invest in mental related things that feel harmful, that feel like they're just not really helping you. And it could be a time when you end a sort of therapy, psychiatric program where you're like letting go of what held you kind of spiritually or mentally. If you were a Scorpio rising, the North Node is in your Pisces 5th house of dating and creativity. This is a fun transit because it shows the growth of creativity, of dating, of romance in your life. I know that when I had this transit, suddenly I was having fun with people for the first time. And I don't mean like romantically necessarily. I just mean like I was going out and I was having fun at parties. And this was actually a time of like, oh my God, like there are fun things that I can do with people. Like just in general, like hanging out and stuff. Like before that I'm not an introvert and I learned that during this time. So the growth of like fun with others. The South Node is in your Virgo 11th house, which is a house of networking, group socializing, and like building up an organization. This doesn't necessarily show that you are not social, but it shows like you're not holding on to groups that you once invested in or once were a part of. Naturally, people, groups, kind of not your close friends, but like groups tangential to you that you once focused on or wanted like clout with, kind of, that you really wanted to invest in knowing, they are now going away. If you are a Sagittarius rising, the North Node is in your Pisces 4th house of home, family, property. You are focusing on building a home, a foundation, settling down, family-related matters, feeling secure. As a Capricorn rising, I just had this transit when the North Node was in Aries of my 4th house, and I know that for the first time, I was like, I have a home. I had been in so many places that didn't work out and other people's sublets for like 2-3 years. And finally, I have a place that I almost left because I want to move to a loft, but I know I should wait to go to New York to do that. But this shows a focus on home. The South Node is in your Virgo 10th house of career, which can show a transition, a letting go, an apathy, or just letting things not be the focus when it comes to career. It is home and security time, not let's go and change careers and really grind time. If you're a Capricorn rising like me, the North Node is in our Pisces 3rd house. 3rd house is routine, productivity, day-to-day tasks like writing or posting. It shows an increase in the amount of busyness, output, and tasks that you're completing on a daily basis. You're just going to be busier. The South Node is in your Virgo 9th house, which is about long distance travel and higher education. So it's likely that you are either coming back from or traveling abroad less, or you are ending or not as heavily involved in a high level of study that you once were. You could be graduating university. You could be like, I know the South Node entered my 9th house, and astrology often is thought of as a 9th house, like endless study of knowledge. And I just cannot do monthly forecasts for every sign at this point. I with other things and with priorities, that the amount of time for that is insane every month. So as much as people are sad, I just know for the quality of my other videos and for this video, which is going to be long as fuck, but I don't want, see, I like this. This is fun because I get to ramble about one thing. I don't need to like jump around. I had to let that go and cut that out. So that's an example. If you were an Aquarius rising, the North Node is in your Pisces 2nd house of income and spending. You are probably making more money with your income. Your payments are more. You are making more money. The South Node is in your Virgo 8th house of finance and investments. This can show that you are selling off investments, you're selling off assets, that you're paying off debts, and there's less dependence or connection to other parties. And then if you are a Pisces rising, this has the North Node in your 1st house. Emphasis on you getting recognition, on your appearance, getting more attention, spotlight on you, personal growth time. You feel like you are, the analogy I use is in Mario Kart, you're like on Rainbow Road, like where you're like zooming, like you're just like go. That's such a bad, whatever, I'm embarrassing myself. You were like zooming around. It's your time to feel accelerated. The South Node is in your Virgo 7th house of relationships. So although this doesn't necessarily show a breakup, it would need something challenging with it in your chart. This can show less of a focus on the other party or dependence on the relationship in your life. It can show that a uncommitted, unserious, already shaky relationship does fall away. If you're stable, it's probably just going to show it's you time. Time for you to shine, not to like give everything you have to someone else. So let's pull a tarot card here just to get one last detail about this transit. We have the 6 of Cups reversed here. So funny enough, the 6 of Cups reversed is like textbook let go of the past card. Like you can be nostalgic, which is so painful. I'm so nostalgic. My poor Libra moon is like, remember the exit we took on the highway? Like I'm just ridiculous. But this shows just let go of the past and of holding on to it and embrace what the new could be. Because I have a problem. I think about the past too much. It's just constantly what I do. I just repeat it, and I think it makes me repeat it. Literally. So this is a sign for me too. If you enjoyed this, do leave me a comment down below explaining what you are thinking and what you're hoping for and your thoughts about this transit. If you have any ideas for any other videos coming up, let me know, because I will probably have more time since TikTok appears to be banned. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that everyone's laughing at me when this comes up and it's still there or something like that. I hope. Because tomorrow when I wake up, it's probably not gonna be there. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next one.
Oh, but there is one thing you're all forgetting.